Hello and welcome, my name is Pierre and today I'm here with my July wrap-up. So July was pretty average. I mean, it's better than it's better than last month, but it's still pretty average. I'm sure you're aware by now that since moving to Sydney and working full-time, I haven't been reading as much, or posting videos as much, or reading as much, which is heartbreaking, and I think it's actually making me really sad. But we'll ignore that for right now. This month I read a total of 3 books, DNF'd 1 book, and I'm currently in the middle of another book which I will probably have finished by the time this video goes live. So, we'll count it. Still no bird. He's coming. He's he, it, she. I find out like literally this afternoon what gender it is. So the book I DNF'd this month was The Waking Land by Kelly Bates. I couldn't, which is basically, okay, bear with me. There was a king, and there was a guy who wanted to be king. Basically, the king thwarted the guy who wanted to be king's plan, stole his daughter, so that way that he wouldn't know uprising. Anyway, 14 years later, the daughter ends up back with the dad for the rebellion, basically, and they are trying to figure out if her magic powers, her earth powers mean that she's Wildegard, who is like this ancient entity. Make sense? I thought I'd be really into it. It was definitely like a cover read for me. Like I saw it, I was like, damn, I'm gonna read that. I liked the idea of like Wildegard. The writing itself wasn't overly complex, it wasn't overly flowy, it seemed really base and border and surface and average, so I didn't really like it, and I'm thinking of picking it back up, but I also just, like, I got like a significant chunk through, and I was on a plane, and I was kind of just like, nah. So that's that one. Next up, I read Now I Rise by Kirsten White, which is the second book, which comes after And I Darken, which is obviously a gender-bent telling of Vlad the Impaler, but obviously with a female. Lada is such an angel. I love her. Like, I wish that I reread And I Darken before reading Now I Rise, because I spent most of the book confused about who was who, what was what, where things had left off. So I definitely should have reread And I Darken before Now I Rise. I still really loved it. I read most of it on a plane, so it was like not fully in depth, which I probably should have just amplified my brain. I enjoyed it. I liked And I Darken a little more though. I love this cover, like this is a baller cover. Considering like the ending events of this book, I'm super psyched to see what happens in the next book. So I'm not gonna give too much away, obviously. I have a review for And I Darken above, you can find it somewhere. Next up, I read Godblind by Anna Stevens, which Harper sent me for review, so thank you, Harper. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I know a lot of my friends who've read it really didn't like it. I kind of liked it. Like, yeah, there were bits that I was like, ugh. One of them being there are so many point of view, like there are so many different points of view, there are so many characters. Some of them do seem to like sound similar, some of them probably weren't really needed. I can't even explain to you this. This is another one of those like high fantasy that like the plot is so big that you can't just be like, warring countries, old gods coming back for power. That pretty much sums it up. But anyway, I really liked it. In terms of like the ending, I'm interested to see how it will continue. 70% sure there's more books in the series. Don't quote me because I don't actually know. I didn't look into it because I'm lazy. One thing that I did really enjoy about this book is there's a character and her name is Rillarin. I like that name. I don't know, I'm a huge fan of like names, but I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I did really like it. It's your high fantasy. Like, I don't know what, it's high fantasy. There's lots of things going on. There's lots of people. There's lots of world building. I did enjoy it. Next up was just a reread because I was thinking about it and I was like, damn, I really want to reread that because it was my favorite book of 2017 so far, and it was God's Grave by J. Kristoff, which is the second book in the Nevernight Chronicles. Nevernight, as you know, is one of my all-time favorite books. God's Grave was just as good. There are 2 Australian book launches that I will be attending, the Sydney one and the Melbourne one. I will leave links to those down below so you can book your tickets. It's free if you're interested in coming. I will be going with Little Book Owl, who is Cat, if you don't know. We'll be cosplaying as Mia and Ash, so I'm super excited. So if you're coming, good. Be there, say hi, take some photos with us. I'm super psyched. God's Grave was fucking incredible. The book that I'm currently reading, I'm like halfway through, is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I'm loving it. I think it's fantastic. It's basically about this 18th century lord who's like a bit of a brat. He's like your ultimate fuckboy in terms of he's just great. I love him, and his narration is the best part of the book. May or may not be in love with his best friend Percy, and they are on a tour of like Europe with his sassy younger sister, and then there's pirates and highwaymen and they get into some trouble, and it's really cool. But basically the main part that I love about it is Monty, who's our protagonist, his narration and his character and his voice, and just it's fucking hilarious. Like, genuinely laugh out loud. I haven't laughed out loud at a book. I didn't think I'd like it. I'd heard great things about it, so I started it. I'm in love. I love it. I definitely recommend picking this one up. This is like the fancy Owl Crate version. It's really good and I'm really loving it, so I would recommend you pick that one up if you're into that sort of stuff. Also, if you've been following on our social media, Jacob has created a film
Basically, I'm taking over because Pierre doesn't know what I'm talking about, and this is my film that I've done. If you go to this website, Pierre's going to put the link in the description. Right now, I have like 200 views, and I saw someone yesterday that has 500 views. But if even like 1 out of 2... Are you right?
Sorry, yeah.
Even like 1 out of 2 of you guys clicks the link in the description. All you have to do is vote. You put your name and your email in, and then you get an email, and you just click the verification link. You don't get spam, and you get a chance to win a $50 gift voucher for iTunes. So if you could do that, that would mean the world. If you can just watch the film, there's also an option to post a comment on there, just like YouTube, and I can get to see how you guys react to the film, which I'm really proud of. So thank you. Anything to say?
Fuck off.
Rough.
Basically, he's entered a competition, and we'd love if you could vote for him. Check out his video, vote for him. I'll leave the links to that down below as well, so you can do that. It's like super quick, takes like 5 minutes, but we would super appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully next month I will have more exciting things to tell you, or I will have just read more books and just not be as horribly miserable as I am. But side note, I really love you guys, and I appreciate everything you do and how much you watch my videos, and it's really sweet, and it makes me really happy. Okay. Okay, bye.